Welcome to the Your Living Proof podcast. If you love someone struggling with addiction and are searching for answers, we're so glad you found us. Families are the cornerstone of long-term recovery, yet they often go unsupported. Our mission is to strengthen and support this vital but often overlooked part of the addiction recovery process. We're here to help families understand what their role is and isn't in this journey. Addiction deceives and takes everything you're willing to give. But if you know better, you can do better. And we're here to help you do just that. If you're asking, how can I help my addicted loved one? This is your community.
If you enjoy watching podcasts, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more support and resources between episodes, follow us on Instagram at Your Living Proof or visit our website at yourlivingproof.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. Thanks for being on this journey with us.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Today in groups, we have these private groups in our program. I just reminded everybody in there something so true. You are here learning to do and to help someone who's unwilling or unable to do for themselves right now. So for those of you listening in who have a loved one, whatever their relationship is with you, I think it's just a beautiful reminder of something you're doing for them that is so incredible. And I know they can't see it yet for what it is, but you are literally doing for someone else who is unable or unwilling to do for themselves right now. And that's what we hope this podcast is a platform for you people to learn better.
Yeah. A resource for you.
Yeah, to just continue to be empowered. Today's topic is amazing, but it's been an awesome week. Hopefully you guys have had a great week. I'm learning that I'm a glutton for punishment because I overcame this drug addiction of my own, drug and alcohol and pornography addiction of my own. And then I chose the only industry for a few years into my recovery that was harder, which was the restaurant world. And then all of us that have been married for a long period of time realize we're doing something that's extremely difficult too.
That's true.
Being married.
Yeah. Hardest work there is.
It's been a week. All of us that are married know the ups and the downs. I'm just still trying to win her over.
Yes. Keep going.
Someday
going. You'll get there.
What?
Someday.
You can tell if you can't feel it. Like I'm a little bit on the outside right now. I'm working to be on the inner circle.
Yeah. Keep going.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I'm cheering you on.
She's in a mood to just get after it. We are. Today's topic's a very controversial one. It's actually one that's running rampant in all communities, even the good, faithful communities.
Oh, probably especially those. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. But is there anything else that we need to disclose so that we can move forward with
Disclose? I have no idea where you're going with that.
Her and I are using this as a form of mediation to bring us together. I'm just kidding. We're not.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing over there.
I know. I'm just telling you.
Trying to.
Are there any men listening in?
Start a fight? I don't know.
I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm trying to better understand.
No, doesn't seem like that.
Well, let's focus in on why they came here. Okay. Today's topic is the counterfeits. What do you mean? What do you think we mean by counterfeits?
Ketamine.
There's so many counterfeits out there. There really is. We're going to hone in on a couple.
I think this is probably one of the best podcasts we've done in a while because it's one that you guys keep messaging us about. So that's why we wanted to talk about it today, is because it is deeply affecting massive communities of people. I mean, for sure, my community here in Utah, this is a hot topic that people really don't have the answer for, right?
Correct. It's unregulated. It's unknown.
Yeah.
There are so many things. So just bear with us. But this will be one that will strike a chord with many of you. And I encourage you to share it and circulate it. This is a topic that is going to frustrate or upset a couple of people.
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys, we could be saying things. We might upset you today and you might go, oh, they lost me.
There is a few listening that it may upset or offend. But please just hear us out as to why.
Yeah.
Because no one's talking about this. It's happening all around us, and it's creating massive problems.
Yes.
So even as Christian members, members of the church, and in our faith, it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a difficult topic.
Yeah, it is.
Did you want to touch on that?
Well, it's just, are you going to say what the topic is?
Okay. The counterfeits. And we're going to get into some. We could sit here all day.
Yeah.
Like we could, and I'm going to preface by saying any one of these topics that we are discussing, I understand. And I'm acknowledging that there is specific people with specific needs under the specific guidance and professional supervision that receive a benefit. Like there is a benefit for them psychologically, emotionally, physically.
Sure.
So we're just making that disclaimer now.
Right.
But what we are talking about, it's like, what was that song? Something bears, oh my. What was that little riddle?
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Well, today it's psychedelics, ketamine, kratom, microdosing, oh my.
Yeah.
I missed a couple in there. That was my...
Yes.
That was my best attempt.
That was good.
We're talking about these counterfeits and lifting the skirt up as to why.
Right. Because a lot of you're probably going to hear what we're saying going, wait a minute. No, I have a friend who does that and she's awesome. Or, somebody in my ward told me about that. So I'm a little surprised to hear you say that that's not probably the best route. So just buckle up. We're going to go through the top 5.
Top 5. We could sit here all day. There's plenty. Let's just go through the top 5. So are we sitting here claiming to be experts, some medical experts? Heavens no. I do want to explain where this comes from. This is actually through our program working with thousands of families, amazing people like you whose loved one is stuck in this deadly trap of addiction and hearing these stories. Actually, when I say thousands, it's probably even more than that, of families we hear from, right? Like they make contact, they reach out, they're sent resources, and they kind of explain the situation. This is one of the most common stories we hear.
Yep.
And what we're sharing is the results of these stories because there's a lot of similarities. So we are just going to talk about the top 5. Let's just get right into them. And then at the end, we're going to give you the explanation and a little bit throughout as to why.
Yeah.
Where the counterfeit is and why this is affecting so many people. So the first one is psychedelics. Just read you the description. Most of you are aware of what that is. Psychedelics are a class of psychoactive substances that alter perception, mood, and various cognitive processes. They are best known for including things like hallucinogens, intensifying sensory experiences, altering thinking, and sometimes deeper spiritual or mystical experiences.
Mystical.
Even that, right? Even the Google answer is a little intriguing.
Yeah.
From personal experience, some of that is true.
Yep.
As part of my addiction and the progression of it, psychedelics played a big part in there at one point or another. Mm-hmm. And can we just acknowledge that even the description of that for some is a little intriguing? Wait, what did you say? Deep spiritual or mystical experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get into the subcategory of this, number 2, which is actually what's way more common.
Yeah.
But go search it. Last year, there was like a 12% increase in psychedelic use that was the largest increase in our lifetime. Well,
and if you're like, what? I've never heard of that. No, you have. Think about people that are telling you that they're going on ayahuasca retreats. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Guess what? I'm going to call out my own faith community. It's the fastest growing story that I hear within my own faith community. Okay. There always will be the issue, big issues like pornography, alcohol, people abusing pharmaceutical medications. Those are and have always been around as some of the biggest ones. But like the fastest new growing trend is that. These spiritual ayahuasca retreats, people from their church are even going together.
Oh, yeah.
People in their neighborhood are going together. So again, if you've heard this before and your blood's starting to boil a little bit, just bear with us.
Yeah. And I would say it's also highly encouraged in some communities, like people that are cancer patients. It's like, oh, this is a great way to deal with chemo. I'm not saying it's not helpful in that situation. I'm just trying to show you how it's transitioned from more of like a taboo thing to something that's a lot more even socially acceptable. And it's getting a little bit, we're crossing over this bridge that's pretty dangerous. We're going to go into that more.
I'm calling bullshit right now. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. Has to be said. There are certain things, and I said it, the disclaimer at the beginning, there is a very small percentage of people who receive a benefit, a legitimate benefit from this. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the vast majority. Throw a number at it, over 95% of people who are using it. Because what's happened is the waters have become muddied. Mm-hmm. What used to be right and used to be wrong is now all blended together in this whole process of feeling our best selves.
Yeah, healing. Going on journeys.
Okay. Psychedelics, let's just move past. Most of you are aware of what those are. Guess what? In the old school, it's the hardcore things like LSD and mushrooms and all of that. I mentioned on it, but I do want to speak from personal experience. There are those experiences people have. Let me identify the counterfeit. Did it come naturally? My grandpa James Deaton, who passed away, he's a legend. He always said the same phrase, nothing good or worthwhile in life comes easy. And it really holds true when it comes to this. And we're going to get more into that. I do want to just make it known that people do have those experiences. When they say that they had maybe a deeper spiritual or mystical experience, they do, which is the counterfeit. And we're going to explain why. So let's hurry and get into the second category, because this is the more relatable one.
Yeah.
It actually is it has to do with psychedelics, but it's more a relatable one.
Yeah.
So go ahead and explain.
So number 2 is microdosing. Okay. So that's the practice of taking a very small subperceptual dose of a psychedelic substance. It could be LSD, could be magical mushrooms, with the intention of improving mental, emotional, or cognitive functioning without the full acid trip experience, hallucinating experience. So
what are some of those that we see in society?
I was going to say,
by the way, this is why I say bullshit, and it makes me mad. I am emotional on this topic. Social media is where we kind of find a lot of our customers, how we market ourselves, and we get flagged all the time because we use the word addiction recovery. But yet there are ads all over on my page, an addiction recovery page, about people and microdosing.
Yes.
About EMDR, about oxytocin nasal spray.
Yes.
That are just floating around, unmonitored, unregulated, giving people the idea that all these things are a solution to help them connect with their deeper self.
Yeah, and I think that's the trick, because EMDR for sure was originally created to truly help people in trauma situations. And I do believe that there are actually licensed and certified people that can help you if you're one of those people that needs help processing a deeply traumatic situation. However, they're now being positioned as like, hey, did you have a bad childhood? Let's go on a journey and work through that. And not all the people that are doing it are necessarily licensed, and they might have some, other ways of helping you relax to do that, which may or may not include some drugs. And all I'm saying is it's definite. Who hasn't had a traumatic childhood, by the way? Haven't we all?
To different levels, but they all were to some degree.
Right. So I'm just, it's being positioned as more of like this spiritual journey, not really what it was originally formed for, which was helping these, PTSD wounded soldiers and things like that. So, and sexual abuse survivors, things like that. Again,
but even in those situations, it was meant as a stepping stone, as something to help them get to a place where they can start to work through them naturally.
Exactly.
Now the waters are getting muddied. It's this whole thing of like, oh, it's not really that bad. It actually helps people. It's picking off the vast majority. For every one person that receives that benefit, I see the hundreds of others who it led down a path so destructive and always led them to seeking something to help them feel better, something to help them break through the emotions they couldn't be. It taught them. So whether it seemed innocent at the first or not, that's part of the reason these are counterfeits, right? Some of these things we're talking about, they don't look as bad anymore. It's like, hey, are you doing fentanyl? Well, that's like, whoa, what? Are you doing cocaine? Whoa, what? No, but some of these microdosing, oxytocin, these things that now seem innocent are picking people off.
Well, and again, it's the attraction. Like, okay, the oxytocin nasal spray. There are groups of women that are saying, oh my gosh, it's not a drug. It's not even addictive. This is just something you take like to really bond with your husband. It's for bonding and desire, and it's oxytocin, guys.
Yeah, we're going to lose friends over this. That's okay. I'm tired of people standing by, saying nothing, doing nothing. We need to stand up. We need to get back to when we actually had society standards, when certain morals and standards existed in society. And we start remembering that for people to have these deeper connections, for people to have these relationship connections, to have these deeper meanings of self, came through hard work, came through a lot of sacrifice and effort. Because even those who are experiencing this, please remember, even if they do this and they're like, oh my gosh, it makes me feel better. Every drug I did made me feel better. And every drug that anyone out there has ever done for a period made them feel better. It was the solution. It helped them achieve what they could not achieve on their own.
Right.
It's a counterfeit, though. Why?
Well, can I read something? Addiction seduces the soul with the illusion of intimacy. It offers comfort without presence, euphoria without love. We mistake the chemical for connection, but the body always knows the difference. There's a reason the high feels like coming home, because it mirrors what we are truly missing, which is soul deep level connection. But the difference is this one leaves you emptier and one fills you for life. One is fleeting comfort and the other is healing. We didn't chase the substance. We chased the feeling of being whole, of finally escaping the ache of being unknown. The drug whispers, you are enough. And for a moment you believe it, but the real connection doesn't whisper. It stays. It sees you in the chaos and says, I'm not leaving. We don't fall in love with a substance. We fall in love with what it promised. Relief, peace, belonging. And in a world that taught us to hide, to toughen up, and to numb, that promise is everything. But recovery shows us the truth. Connection, not chemicals, is what brings us to life.
Do we just end it at that?
Well,
Holy
I think
cow.
if you're dabbling in this, that might be something that you should consider.
Can I just, that was so perfectly timed. And I'm just going to quickly mention these others just so people are aware of some of them. And there are many others. This isn't all of them.
Yeah, this
just
is not.
What we see a lot. My entire process of recovery was first learning to come and believe in a power greater than myself that could restore me to sanity, which in my case is my Heavenly Father, who I never denied. The reason why I share this is because when what you read, it started making me think about my own journey. I actually had to come to that belief that there was that power that could heal me, even though it took a while for me to feel like I was forgivable, for me to ultimately have the chance to love myself again. So a lot of these drugs, you'll love the experience. It makes you feel certain things when you're doing them that doesn't feel harmful. That's the whole connection here. A lot of people are doing these, even maybe you included or people close to you, and they're not having these horrible experiences. They feel great. But it's a counterfeit because it just leaves them needing this to feel that way. It actually turns them inward, that they're seeking this for themselves and they're not looking for the solutions naturally. That's why it's a trap. So please, even though we're speaking loudly, many people out there, we're not saying that you're bad people for doing this or others that they're bad people. It's just they don't see the threat.
Yeah.
They don't see the other side of this. Do you know that anyone who does any of these things we're mentioning, they never intend for it to get bad?
No, in fact, they went to it because they were seeking something good, right? Like I have a good friend who did these types of things with her husband because she wanted to feel more connected to him. And do you know what happened?
Drove them apart. Does everybody eventually. Sorry, I just blurted that out.
Well, yeah, she could no longer connect to him if they were not high.
On it.
That is not the goal, guys.
That's a counterfeit. And I see the other end of it all the time. That what started here eventually led to other things and got more serious, which is actually when people have a more legitimate chance. Let me mention a few others and then we're going to tie it up. Ketamine. Ketamine is how do you say that word?
Dissociative anesthetic.
Woo! That has been used in medical settings since 1960. Originally developed as a surgical anesthetic for both humans and animals, it's gained attention in recent years for its rapid-acting antidepressant effects and use in psychedelic-assisted therapy. So again, it was used for different purposes back then. Then they started using it for some of these war trauma return vets to just overcome some of those impossible first steps in their healing. Now, it's like 7-Eleven. They're opening up all over the place as a solution to cure your problems.
Well, and you can actually order it online and just do it yourself, like a self-guided experience with ketamine. Are you kidding me?
The other thing we haven't talked about is the number of people who do this responsibly without eventually abusing it. We're not even talking about, okay, when we hear about dependency, we think about fentanyl addicts out there that like they're shaking without it.
Yeah.
That's a different dependency. People with this dependency, they might not have physical withdrawals. Well, they usually eventually do, but they depend on it to have the feelings that they want, and they cannot find them without it. That's what people aren't talking about. Okay, kratom is another one that's huge and rampantly growing. Kratom, by the way, if you walk into a vape store, and this includes your young adults that are going to the vape store that sell vape, have you ever seen it? Kratom. It's on signs, advertised. Kratom. Right there. They can go buy it. If they're old enough to buy vape, nicotine, they can go buy kratom. It's not a controlled substance. Kratom is a tropical tree native in Southeast Asia, particularly Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. Its leaves have been used traditionally for centuries as a natural stimulant, pain reliever, and folk medicine. Here's what's happening. The practical side of it. So it's sold as like this herb, right? That people can
just herbs.
Take for pain. It makes you feel good. Totally packaged and looks innocent. Well, if you double or triple the prescribed dose, it has the same effects as opioids, things as serious as heroin.
Yeah.
Here is what's so sad. I know of dozens of people just this year who are trying to get off kratom, who started taking it, and they're experiencing the same withdrawals I did, trying to come off of like hardcore drugs like heroin. It's excruciating. It's physically near impossible.
Yep.
You want to know what else?
But it's not addictive, right?
It's not. Oh, wait till they try to get off of it. They can't. I know so many people are stuck on it and they can't get off of it. And here's what's sick. It's not recognized as a controlled substance by the proper chains of government.
So let me guess. You can't get treatment for it.
Insurance doesn't cover it. If you go to detox, you just have to suffer. They can't pay for it. Ooh, what a counterfeit. Okay, but again, and I know lots of good people, even moms that would never do some of these hardcore drugs that are taking this for the right reasons. And it counterfeits to them and creating dependency and a need for it.
Right.
They can't get off of it. Last one real quick is marijuana.
Yeah.
Again, bullshit. I'm going to use that word over and over in this episode. And if it offends you, I'm sorry. I won't use it again in future. You know, I haven't used it before much. This is something that back in the day was illegal. It was wrong. It was hidden. People still did it. Now it's just everywhere. It's socially accepted. You can even get it in cute little forms of gummies if you don't want to smoke it or smell.
Yeah.
Most doctors will give it to you when you just tell them what you need to tell them.
Again, you can just order it to your house. There's signs all over the I-15 here in Utah that for our favorite, gummy providers here.
Marijuana, also known as cannabis, is a psychoactive drug derived from the cannabis sativa or cannabis indica plant. It is mostly commonly used for recreational and medicinal purposes, known to make people feel warm and fuzzy, stress-free. bullshit. If you know how many mothers and fathers I've spoken to whose teen son or daughter is now experiencing psychotic episodes, induced psychotic behavior, suicidal behavior. We're not even talking about the common ones. If you look up at the common ones, it's like increased risk of psychosis, anxiety, paranoia, depressions, memory loss, impaired decision-making, which are all symptoms of irritability, insomnia, loss of appetite, etc. It is a problem. And our society has just somehow said that, it's
not a big deal.
Why? Well, drug abuse and dependency and alcohol abuse is running rampant at a rate so high that people are laser focused on those horrible things like meth and fentanyl, to where now we're like, no big deal. You've heard me say this before, the deadliest drug that holds people hostage for the longest period of time before anything changes is the one that you use the word just right before you say it. It's just marijuana. It's just kratom. It's just ketamine. It's just microdosing. When that happens, because it's just that thing, no one takes action. The alarms aren't sounding off for anyone. The consequences of your actions usually haven't shown up yet. And that's what holds people hostage for a long time. Until it segues and transitions to something else.
Well, and with weed, I think it's become so acceptable that, again, people that would have never considered doing this are doing it because that stigma, you're not going to have to get a bong out to get high. You just, have one or two gummies to feel like how you want to feel, and it's fine, and it's not a big deal. I'm not trying to point fingers and say you're a bad person if you're doing this. I'm saying you've been deceived. You have been deceived, because if you have to take that leap, do that thing to feel a certain way, it's more of your inability to cope with your life than anything else. So it's yes, you can do that, but then you're not actually finding the solution, which is what part of my life is not going the way I want it to the point that I feel like I have to escape at a certain point every day. Right? We've got to address that. That's the point here. We're trying to elevate ourselves, right? Self-improvement. It's not about what can I do to escape what's going on in my life. It should be about, okay, what's uncomfortable in my life and what do I need to do to change it?
And it's our purpose of our whole, and here's for me to speak, right? Who am I to speak with all the failures I made? The purpose of our mortal journey is to experience what I couldn't handle, which is discomfort.
Right.
Experiencing that was part of our mortal purpose coming here, to experience the discomfort and to learn to work through it in natural, healthy ways, because doing all that, instead of turning us inward, it opens us up to God. And what I love and I see manifest as his greatest gift he's given us, which is each other, for other people to have an influence on us. Instead of taking these things, it turns us inward and closes us off from all those blessings. Elephant in the room, I get it. For most of you, you found some relief. You found a deeper connection, even that spiritual, mystical experience that you did find. I found it. And I wanted to find it again. And I wanted to find it again. And then when times got hard and I couldn't do it, even though I was trying to do it the right way, I knew that there was a way to go find that again. It doesn't lead everyone down a path as horrible as mine, but I actually look at my experience as like this opportunity. It got bad enough finally that there was no other choice than to change. And I've watched the opposite of that is people I love who decade after decade stay stuck as a dismal, tiny percentage of who they really are because they found a chemical solution and it's kept them right there, unable to progress on their own. So this is just something we've got to see it for what it is. Do these things help people? Sure. Do they feel good? Yes. Are they giving people these experiences? Yes. But is it worth it? Is it worth it for the risk of it causing a dependency, for you relying on it, for you unable to tap in or find that anywhere else in life? No. sometimes we just have to accept there are days that don't feel great. Times in our life that are a struggle. When you find these solutions, you realize I don't have to experience any of that because there's a counterfeit that tells you, oh, don't worry. If you don't feel good, you can feel good if you want.
Yeah. Just spray this up your nose. You'll be fine.
We're not going to be able to convince everyone of that, but I hope there are those of you listening that will stand with us, that will stand up, that will take a stand to say, no, bullshit. That's not right. That's not acceptable. I won't accept that. I won't tolerate that because we see the dangers in it. We see the dependency that's created. We see the need that they'll continually have for it to get the feeling that they want. We need to do it the hard way, the other way. And I hope everyone starts to see that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw out a scripture here because what you said just made me think of it. But it's like, narrow is the gate. That's truly what is at the core of this, right? Like, it's where Jesus contrasts like a narrow gate and a broad gate as metaphors for different paths in life. Like, the narrow gate is difficult, while the wide gate is easier but leads to destruction. And truly, what you just said is so powerful because yes, you have to learn how to sit in this discomfort. Yes, there's going to be times in your relationship where you don't feel super bonded and close. And that doesn't mean you need to reach for a chemical solution. It means you need to do the work required. Right? I found, like, some of you might have heard this analogy before, but there's the best analogy for learning how to spot a counterfeit. And it is to focus on understanding the genuine rather than studying the fakes. So just like trained, CIA agents in charge of identifying counterfeit currency, they don't
like the money.
They don't study the counterfeit bills. They become intimately familiar with the appearance and the features of the genuine currency. They learn to recognize the real thing, and this familiarity allows them to quickly identify any deviations or flaws in the potential fakes. This approach is effective, of course, because the details of the counterfeit techniques are constantly changing, and focusing on the genuine guarantees one can adapt to the new methods. So this is the call to discipleship for me and my life, and hopefully for you too. Because we know, and I believe, like it says in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through and by me. Everything else is a counterfeit. And that is really hard to accept because, gosh dang, there are so many easier ways. But they are counterfeits. So for me, living in this world right now, I am surrounded, even here in Utah, by people who are being deceived. So how am I not getting played and being deceived? I choose to get the truth from forming a deep relationship with my Savior daily, and asking him what is the way. So to me, that's at the root of all of this is, are we willing to do that?
Well, and remember those that, for one reason or another, you've heard me say that, like when I started, for one reason or another, people who do some of these things, and they do have, again, that positive experience for this.
Oh, yes.
This intimate, like, spiritual experience.
That's real.
It's real in that moment, but step back out of it and see it for what it is.
It's
the counterfeits in our day and age are getting a lot better than they used to be because they've had to get a lot more creative. It may even allow you to have a spiritual connection for that moment.
Yep.
But the counterfeit is the way in which it happened and what was used to make that happen, that you will need, again, that you will depend on to have to that depth, which will remove your ability to do it naturally, which creates, I hope you see, a major red flag and problem.
The Lord will always give us the truth. And it is not morally relative. It is constant.
I hope this helps. Please share it. It is a controversial topic, and one we hope that will soon become what it used to be, is more black and white. Whether it's convenient, whether it does help, or we think it does for the time being, or whether it's part of our wellness program and our journeying program. And I'm sorry for those of you of the LDS faith, I'm going to say it for what it is, because I've heard the story on repeat more than any other story rising out of the norm, is if people in your community, in your area, are doing these journeying experiences, these spiritual experiences with ayahuasca, whatever they're doing, whatever people are telling you, see it for what it is. Even if it was real for a moment, what is the danger? What is the counterfeit? And ask yourself, is it worth it? Or maybe do we try, like you so beautifully described, to find and focus on what's real, no matter how hard it is? I just plead with you from my own personal experience and from working with all these families, it's not worth it. It picks off 99% of them. It takes a good person down a path so destructive, leading to things that are unimaginable. And that isn't worth it.
And disconnects them, right?
Disconnects them. And not one of them ever saw that coming or thought that was even remotely possible.
They went for connection. That was the driving force. And they left empty-handed.
I'm grateful that recovery taught me surrender and the importance of it, to reach out, to climb upward, and to open my arms to everything, God and those people in my life, instead of turning inward, finding something that I needed to make me feel a certain way.
Amen.
Thank you guys for being
here. I'm
here.
going to close with a serenity prayer for families. As always, God grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me.
Love you guys. Have a great week.